What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So we're back on the Lenovo Legion Go here, taking a look at Red Dead Redemption, finally over on PC. And I played this game back a long time ago when it originally came out and absolutely loved it, and was excited to hear that the PC port was coming this month. And they've done a good job of bringing this over in a really stable, playable place for people to experience on PC, even though it's not like a full remake or remaster. Now, as far as the settings, there are quite a few things you can change up in here. We're going to take a look at 1200p and 800p and a few different settings and FSR as well, and kind of talk about what the performance is like there. Now, I'll spend a little bit of time on the wattage here because a lot of people ask about that. And at 20 watts, custom or performance mode here on the Go, I'm sitting still here at 800p around 50-ish FPS. If we go ahead and take this all the way up to 30 custom and handheld mode, it's not going to quite want to pull all of that wattage. It's just not under enough strain in this particular area. If we were to go to other areas or maybe up to ultra, it would want to draw a little bit more than that, but it doesn't really help us a lot with these settings, and really you're going to kill your battery so much faster than just the 20 watts. There's not a lot to gain in this game going from that 20 to 25 to 30, at least not in a lot of the areas I've been testing, or to be worth it unless you were plugged in and docked. It will pull that full 25, of course, this way, as it was pulling about 27 before on 30, but again, it's just kind of negligible, the performance difference that we get here and the drain on your battery and the additional thermals and stuff. Probably most of the time not going to be worth going above the 20, at least for me in my first 4 hours or so of experience here on the Legion Go with the game. Now, if we go over to 1200p, it's going to be kind of a similar thing. Sitting still here, we're 54 to 55 FPS, pretty stable. The game looks great at 1200p, by the way, on the screen here. And if we go ahead and take this up, we'll go to 25 and then to 30. So we'll go up to 25 here, and we'll gain about 5 FPS in general here. Again, it's not necessarily going to be worth the battery drain and the thermals, and it's not always going to be by 5 as things get kind of busy and they vary here, but you can gain a little bit. Now, if we go ahead and bump this all the way up to 30, unlike 800p, since we are using more resolution here and under more strain, it will actually pull that wattage there. But of course, you're going to really drain the battery, and we get no performance difference from 25 watts. So it's not necessarily going to be worth it here either. So for me, honestly, I just think whether I'm going with my 800p or 1200p here in the game, I may as well stick with around that 20 watt range and get as much out of my battery as I can while I get good performance. You could certainly go a bit lower as well, but for me, this just happened to work really, really well, and I stuck with it. Now, I'll quickly cycle through some of the settings. So 800p first, low preset, 74 FPS sitting still in this spot. So you can gain a lot by going to low. As soon as we go to medium, of course, the game is going to look much better, but we do lose around 20 FPS or so there, coming down to 57 or so going to the medium. And then to high, we come back down to our 50-ish to 52. It's going to bounce around a little bit there as well here on the preset. And then we could go to ultra, where there's no performance difference in town, sitting still for the most part. But if you do get out busy in the game, things do change. And while I can be in the 70s and 80s easily traversing this way, if I change over to the ultra preset from high, I do lose 20 to 30 FPS again out here, and there are times it's going to come lower. And if you're at 1200p, you'll even get down into the 30s. So it's just something to keep in mind if you want to push ultra. You absolutely can, but high's working better for me. Now, real quick on 1200p, same thing, low presets around the 80s here at native at the 20 watts. And then over to medium, instantly same thing, 20 or so FPS less, into the 60s, which is still great performance for medium here, 1200p. And then that high preset, 53 here for the 20 watts. And then we'll go over to the ultra preset, which again, 40, which we talked about sitting still here, and how ultra is definitely playable on here. Just all depends on what kind of experience and frame rate and visuals and resolution, everything you really want to run with the game. Now, as far as FSR3 upscaling, I'm only going to use that for 1200p because I just like the higher frame rate. I think it looks pretty decent here, although you certainly don't need to. So if I change that over to performance, which I'm not going to use, we can actually bump up a few, probably 8 FPS, 7 FPS. It's not a ton. This game's not going to get me a lot here, but going over to quality, and we'll be around the same thing. So I was opting to use that to give me that little bit of overhead to kind of keep me over my lower FPS, my lows there throughout the game. Now, same thing over here on 800p. I'm just not going to use any FSR. I don't think it's necessary with 800p, but if we were to throw quality on here, you'll gain about 7 or 8 FPS as well. So just be aware that if you do want to use some upscaling in here or get more FPS, especially if you're using Ultra, you can do that as well. I'm just not doing it with 800p, but I am with 1200p in the rest of the footage. And combat in the game feels great. Traversing around the world feels great. I think they've done a great job really bringing this game over to PC. Again, it's not like a full remake or remaster or anything like that, but it is running really well on the handhelds. It was running great on my Steam Deck video. It's running really well here on the Legion Go. I think it's pretty impressive at the 20-watt range, and whether you're running 800p or 1200p, it's really good. Now, I haven't attempted 1600p yet with this, and what kind of settings or FSR or whatever we might need to use there, or AMD Adrenalin features or anything like that, but that could be interesting to check out in this game as well. And of course, I am using the official Lenovo drivers, nothing side-loaded here for the game. Now, over 1200p, performance is great as well here with FSR3 quality. Kind of run around a little bit of battle here in the 70s. Sometimes we'll come lower, but this is just ultimately really great performance for the game, no matter how you decide you want to play it, between wattage, FSR, settings, resolution. There's just plenty of room here to play, whether you want to be in the 30s and more fidelity and no upscaling, or you want to be in the higher FPS range. Maybe use upscaling, maybe not, maybe lower settings. It does have 144 FPS cap right now, so keep that in mind as well while you're playing around with the FPS there. But yeah, all in all for me, I really couldn't be happier as a fan of this game who's been waiting for it to come over to PC. Sure, I maybe would like to see a more full remake or remaster of the game, but this is great, especially for people who haven't experienced it. And the performance here, whatever you decide to run the game at, whether it's maxed out settings or lower resolutions or lower settings or whatever the case, it does appear you'll be able to run this game pretty much however you want to here on the Legion Go or potentially one of your other handhelds. So hopefully this video gave you guys enough of an idea to see if this is a game you want to purchase, play, and enjoy in your handhelds. I think it would be a good one to grab if you've been thinking about it. All right, guys, thanks a lot for coming to check out the video. As always, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.